Hello everybody, and welcome back to Residence Reviews. Today we're covering the Campfire Audio Grand Luna, a BA Planner Hybrid IEM coming in at $1,400. This is going to be a more brief and brisk look at the Grand Luna, and if you're looking for an in-depth nitty-gritty review with long-form comparisons, you can check that out in my full-length written review, which is in the link in the description down below. And without further ado, let's get into it. First, let's talk about technical specifications. The Grand Luna has one 14mm planner driver and two balance armature drivers per side. It has 13 ohms of impedance, and it has a 94 decibel SPL per milliwatt sensitivity, making it a little bit less sensitive than your average IEM. It also has a modular MMCX detachable cable, which features USB Type-C, 3.5mm and 4.4mm terminations. The Grand Luna comes in this box, which is quite nice, and if you're looking for a full unboxing, I have a draft sitting ready to be edited, but I'm not done yet, so keep an eye out for that on my YouTube Shorts or my TikTok. That's where you'll be able to find it. For those of you not interested in the unboxing, good news, you're not going to be bored with it right now. Now let's talk about sound. So the Grand Luna is a warm and smooth IEM that focuses on, well, warmth and comfort. It's got a healthy, well-controlled bass response, but isn't overly intense. If you're looking to maximize long-term listening comfort, that would be a plus for you. If you're looking to suffer from bass-induced hearing loss, that's probably a minus. The Grand Luna's mid-range, as I mentioned, is quite warm. It has a large dose of lower mid-range emphasis. The upper mids are lifted, but don't have the traditional large peaks that you would find with a V-shaped IEM or a JM1 Target or some other popular target IEM like that. As for treble, the Grand Luna is well extended and has an articulate upper register and manages to capture and articulate plenty of detail. In spite of its considerable warmth, the Grand Luna doesn't sound dark or heavy. It took a little bit of adjusting to, but once your ears were able to calibrate, you'll be able to tell that the Grand Luna is actually one of the more detailed IEMs you come across in spite of its warmth. After all, it is a planner IEM and has two additional balance armature drivers to help even out its upper register and treble expression. Now, the Grand Luna's non-standard balance is one that, as I mentioned, I did need to adapt to, but once I did, I found that it was quite rewarding. The effortless comfort and detail that you get from this warm and smooth and luxurious sound signature, combined with its totally inoffensive treble and prominent but not overpowering bass, makes it one of the most unique planner IEMs in this segment. You'd be hard-pressed to find many other warm planner IEMs. I know there's a few out there, but you're not going to find any that have this level of technical finesse and tuning refinement, even though it might be non-standard. This is a perfect companion for if you're working long days in the office and need to spend 3, 4, 5 hours with your IEMs in, or if you're on a plane ride, maybe you're flying internationally and have a 10-hour plane ride ahead of you, the Grand Luna is the perfect companion for a use case like that. Now, while there are some pros with this, there are also some cons. The Grand Luna, with its immense warmth, is quite comfortable and luxurious and lush, but it makes it a little bit less airy and expressive and dynamic than I would like for certain styles of rock and alternative music. And this is a mastering dependent feature, so it's not like it's across the entire genre, but it's a trend that I did notice where every once in a while a certain kind of vocal would come on that would sound heavier than I was hoping. That being said, it is still quite flexible. If you're looking to listen to electronic music, the Grand Luna has enough bass response to give you punch and rumble without sounding overpowering, and again, without sounding tiring to the listener. Now let's talk about build quality. If you have interacted with any of Campfire Audio's IEMs before, you know that they typically do a very, very good job with physical design. And that remains true with the Grand Luna. The Grand Luna has brushed metal faceplates, and it even has a little rainbow element on it, which is probably going to be hard to see right here. So I'll actually throw a close-up on screen where they actually use fire or a heat gun or some source of heat to burnish the metal and give it a little rainbow look on the Campfire Audio logo that's imprinted on there. The metal faceplate is then paired with a 3D printed medical grade resin shell. The interior of it actually also features their 3D printing acoustic chambering technology, which is awesome because there's no sound tubes inside of it, which means that there is an entire class of defect that doesn't even apply to the Grand Luna, which is great for people who keep their IMs long term. The Grand Luna's nozzles are also made out of metal, which is great because plastic nozzles suck and they are not durable. The top of the Campfire Audio Grand Luna's shells feature its MMCX connectors, which are actually custom made for Campfire Audio, and they are the best MMCX sockets I have ever used. They really nailed the implementation on this IM. Now, as for the cable, Campfire Audio released a new cable, and it's their first modular cable, and it comes with the Grand Luna. It is quite thick, and it has a silver and bronze or silver and copper look to it, and it's got a nice chain braid on it. It has a very light amount of body. It's overall very solid. It doesn't have permanent shape memory the way that cheaper, thinner IM cables might. That being said, the modular termination on this cable, this is a $300 cable if you buy it separately, it is not sufficient. It is held on by friction. And if you have read my reviews or watched my reviews before, you know that I hate modular cables that don't have affirmative locking mechanisms, because when you hold an IM a termination on by friction like this, it puts pressure on the pins inside the connector. What that does is it wears it out prematurely over time, even if you don't swap them around. Not only that, it exposes you to new types of damage if the cable gets yanked or pulled and then the termination comes apart. That's not good. A $300 cable should have an affirmative locking mechanism like a threaded nut or a dedicated pairing pin that actually slides in place and mechanically binds them. I do like the USB Type-C termination that comes with this cable. It adds some extra length, so if you are looking to use this Type-C cable, you get a little bit of extra length if you're using it with, let's say, a laptop or something, where you need more cable to actually listen comfortably. So if that was on purpose, which it actually might have been, I never actually asked, good thinking. That was great. That was a great idea. Now let's talk accessories. So the Grand Luna comes with a decent suite of accessories. It comes with a semi-hard carrying case. That's this right here. It comes with a microfiber cleaning cloth. It comes with 3 pairs of their high and clear liquid silicone ear tips. They're fantastic. I use them all over the place, even on non-Campfire Audio IEMs. It comes with 3 pairs of their foam marshmallow ear tips. It comes with 3 pairs of their standard silicone ear tips and a special 10-year anniversary lapel pin, which I actually quite like. That was a nice touch. Thank you, Campfire Audio. So this is a decent accessory package. One thing to note is that if you're using this carrying case, it's not going to be large enough to actually fit the Grand Luna if you're using the USB Type-C modular termination. Now, I say it's not large enough. What I meant is it's not large enough to comfortably fit it. There's more pressure than I like, and I really don't like the idea that I have to cram a $1,400 product into its case when you're using its unique differentiator, which is this USB Type-C modular termination. So a larger case would have really been nice for this, especially if you're somebody that cares quite a bit about, long-term maintenance. Now, if you are using this case to transport your IEM out of the house, I really suggest you don't do that. This is fine for static storage on a shelf or in a desk drawer or something. It's not suitable for putting in a backpack or a purse or whatever it is. Use a Pelican 1010 for that. This is the case I use when I transport my IEMs out and about. It is waterproof, it is dustproof, it is shock resistant, and what I do is I just find a piece of foam, any foam, and I just pop that in the top like that, and it eliminates a lot of the extra wiggle room that an IM can have to crash around in there. If you combine that with the included IM baggie that comes with the Grand Luna, then you basically your IM is essentially immortal while it is inside the Pelican 1010. I highly suggest that this is the setup that you go with, especially if you have $1,400 IEMs. That's a lot of money. The case is 20 bucks. It's a worthwhile investment, and you can swap it to whatever IEM that you happen to be taking with you that day. Now let's talk comparisons. I know that everybody loves comparisons. As a forewarning, again, this is not going to be a super detailed, in-depth comparison. That's going to be in the full-length written review. Go check that out, link in the description. Without further ado, let's get started with the Campfire Audio Astrolith. The Astrolith is the first IEM that everybody wants to compare to the Grand Luna. And for those unaware, the Astrolith is Campfire Audio's planner flagship. It costs $2,200 and it's quite a bit more than the Grand Luna. And it's more V-shaped and much closer to the average mainstream sound signature. It is bigger, it has bigger and more intense bass. It's got a cooler mid-range and a brighter treble. The Astrolith's mid-range has a number of peaks that make it more visceral and engaging, particularly for people who listen to vocal-centric songs and mastering styles. The peaks do add a little bit more, articulation to the mid-range, but it also does come at the expense of listening comfort. And those of you who have sensitivities like I do will find that it is a little on the grating side when you start to listen to it for an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I typically take a break about an hour and a half with the Astrolith. The Grand Luna can be listened to indefinitely. I mean, it sounds so warm and smooth and comfortable that you don't really have this issue. And while the Grand Luna does have a softer, less intense, less robust bass response, this doesn't mean that it isn't suitable for electronic music. It just means that it's not going to be in line with your preferences if you want a bassier experience, or if you are a bass head. These IEMs are very different and they aim to express two very different types of tuning style. But I really do find myself leaning towards grabbing the Grand Luna more often than the Astrolith. If you don't have my treble sensitivity or you crave bass more than I do, you're probably going to gravitate towards the Astrolith, especially if money is no object for you and that price gap doesn't mean much. They both have fantastic technical performance. They're pretty close in terms of which one is going to be better for critical listening. But again, if you want a more mainstream style of tuning, the Astrolith is going to be your best bet. Now let's talk the Andromeda 2019. This is the IEM that I was the most interested in comparing with the Grand Luna before I got it. And it's one that I think that is actually the most interesting. And the Andromeda 2019 is famous. I mean, it has fans all over the place. And I think that my take is going to be a little bit controversial. I mean, these two IEMs do have similar goals. They want to be warm and lush and articulate, and they want to be able to provide cohesive and organic timbre without, getting lost in, bassy, mainstream flaws that you find with your typical off-the-shelf IEM. And both of these do utilize balanced armature drivers, but they utilize them in very different ways. The Andromeda has a slightly cooler mid-range, and it has a little bit more sparkle in the upper treble, but it has much less bass response. I mean, for an all BA IEM, they've gotten very good in recent memory. I mean, think of the Zigot Luna that I just reviewed, but the Andromeda 2019 I think is starting to show its age a little bit, and especially that comes into play with the lower register. The Grand Luna has much bigger, much broader, more complete bass response, and that makes it much more flexible with electronic genres or with genres or particular mastering styles that demand more bass to provide substance and a foundation to the music that you're listening to. I straight up prefer the Grand Luna. As awesome as the Andromeda is, I do like the Grand Luna a lot more. It's more flexible with my very widely varied music library, and I can actually listen to electronic music with it. It's kind of disorienting when you're using the Andromeda and it sounds absolutely unbelievably great with one rock track, and then it goes to, Gold Dust by DJ Fresh, and there's a huge bass drop that I'm expecting, and it just kind of fizzles out because the Andromeda can't dig low enough with its balanced armature drivers. So that's where I'm at with that. I prefer the Grand Luna. All right, now let's talk about the EarAcoustic's VSA-PM. Now this is a comparison that I don't have written in my full-length written review for the Grand Luna, but it's one that I wanted to throw in here because it's actually very cool. And the VSA-PM is a around $900-ish single planar IEM from EarAcoustic Audio. They're kind of the new kid on the block. And this IEM is fantastic. It's more V-shaped than the Grand Luna is. It's got a cooler mid-range. It's got a little bit more mid-bass. Actually, I would say it's got more, just straight up, it has more mid-bass response, a similar amount of sub-bass, and they extends very similarly down, all the way down into around the 20 hertz range. The Grand Luna has a lower treble shelf. and it doesn't have the spikes in the upper mid-range that the VSA-PM has. Now, again, both these items are excellent and they both have top-notch technicalities. Now, the major point of contrast here, I think, is the treble. I mean, obviously, the Grand Luna is much warmer, but when it comes to technicalities and presentation, not just tuning and frequency response, there's a big difference in treble. The Grand Luna's treble, by comparison, sounds a little bit sterile, which is weird coming from an IM that is so warm. The VSA-PM has a special characteristic to its treble that is just very sweet and honey-like, and it's very difficult for me to find other IMs that reproduce this this presentation. Now, I don't think it's all that much more detailed than the Grand Luna, but it is still quite engaging, and it's a rewarding listening experience for people who are particular about treble. The VSA-PM does every once in a while come very close to being sharp. Not actually sharp, but very close. And it's enough to be kind of irritating. Again, the Grand Luna's entire shtick is to never even come anywhere near that while still being engaging. And I do think that the Grand Luna delivers on that. If you're just looking for actual planner style listening with typical planner presentation, you're going to get that with the VSA-PM much more than you would with the Grand Luna. The Grand Luna is warmer, it's smoother, it's softer and less dramatic than planner IMs usually are. So I find myself reaching for the VSA-PM more often than the Grand Luna. And that's just because its cooler mid-range and broader bass response make it line up better with my personal preferences and with the styles of music that I commonly listen to, which again is rock, alternative, and electronic music, particularly house and dubstep, because I am stuck in 2013. All right, now let's get to the conclusion. The Grand Luna is an excellent, though non-standardly tuned IM. It is warm and lush and will appeal to those who are looking for inoffensive tuning throughout. That said, it does have some minor areas where it could be improved, particularly in the accessory package. $1,400 is a lot of money, but for the buyer with the right budget who is looking for a warm and lush and comfortable sound signature, the Grand Luna is actually a really solid buy. Now, who is this actually for? This is for those who want planner style technical performance, who don't want the usual planner shtick of being bright and sharp and overly intense. This is for those who want warm and bassy sound without being dominated by any particular part of the sound signature and still want treble resolution. This is for buyers who want a unique and bass-friendly audio experience, because honestly, you are not getting this anywhere else. There are no other planner IMs on the market that reproduce this style of tuning and with this presentation and this timbre. This is for those who want the Andromeda style of tuning, but do want a full and complete sound signature, particularly with more bass. Now, who is this not for? This is not for those who want reference style tuning. This is not for those who want traditional planner tuning, which is bright and intense. This is not for those who want traditional V-shaped sound signatures, and this is not for those who are looking for maximum performance per dollar, because $1,400 isn't a lot of money, and diminishing returns hit hard well before $1,400. So keep that in mind. And with that, I would like to thank you very much for spending some time with me and learning a little bit more about the Campfire Audio Grand Luna. This is a fantastic IM that I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to review, so thank you to Campfire Audio for sending this out. And with that, as always, happy listening.